That's a great idea.
All right, so I'm recording it, so we can start, and then if they come on late, we can say, well, Eddie's gonna send us the recorded version of this meeting. All right, good. So hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Good. So I think a couple of weeks ago, Iris and I connected, and I was sharing with her, what types of programs we fund in the office. Well, she was explaining to me what the program that you guys support does, right? The organization. And as she's explaining, all the different aspects of what the organization does, I said to her, we don't fund any one thing, right? Because you guys want to do a lot. And so what I said to her is, we fund services to seniors, food security, civic and community engagement, social entrepreneurship development, and a college readiness, and two others that I always forget, right? And so we have a program called Project Atlas. And I said to Iris, I think Project Atlas fits you guys perfectly because you're an emerging organization. Your budget is between 0 and 150,000, and it sounds like you can really benefit from capacity building. And so what the Project Atlas program does is that you apply, and the application focuses the applicant to look at the organization's capacity to function day to day, right? So it looks at board development, executive leadership development, volunteer development, funding development. And then from that application, it asks you to take a readiness assessment. There's no right or wrong answers on the readiness assessment. It's just an introspective look at the organization. What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? What do we think? What are the 3 or 4 things we need to work on as an organization to really strengthen our ability to be efficient in the day-to-day operations of the organization? And so once you submit that, and hopefully you're approved funding, then you're assigned a coach. And a coach is a nonprofit leader that's retired, that has experience in scaling up small organizations and building in systems that are lacking because of the size of the organization, and then preparing the board with board development training and preparing the executive leader to better manage the policy-driven positions that the board wants the executive director to follow. With that grant, though, we also give you $10,000, $10,000 to $15,000 to implement the pilot project. And the beauty of the pilot project is that it allows the organization to focus on implementing an approach that the community says it needs addressed. Not that you say it needs addressed, that the community, the targeted population says, we want this. We'd like to have this project. And you would have to figure out what that is. And you would have to, talk to community residents to figure out what that is. And because it's a pilot project, we're expecting you to prototype and test it. Now, what that means for me is that nonprofits have a tendency of saying, we want to do project X, and we're just going to jump in both feet and do project X, not really understanding whether project X is something that community really wants. They say they want it, but do they really want it? Is it the top 2 priorities? And so what we're saying to you is take this $10,000, look at everything that you do, focus it on one approach, make it a small program so you can make iterations and changes as you're actually implementing. And at some point, if you have to pivot and go in a different direction, then it allows you to make those pivots that allow you to make the changes that really resonate with the targeted population. So that's Project Atlas. And I think that is the best application for you to apply for. And then like I said to Iris, I said, I think, one of the things that nonprofits have a tendency of doing is that they want to be the be all and end all for everything, right? They want to, we have bleeding hearts. People that work in this space, like just, oh my God, they need X and let's create a program. And so what happens is you become mission rich and money poor. And when you're mission rich and money poor, without money, you can't get anything done. You can, for a point, get donations and get individual support, but after a while, you're going to need access to capital. And access to capital is given to you once you can prove the impact that you're having on a particular community based on a need that you're addressing, that the community says it wants addressed. So, I know that you guys do a number of different things. I think this is a really good opportunity to say, what is the one thing we want to focus on? And I'm not saying for you not to do the other 50 things, right? Because you can, but I'm saying with this $10,000, what is it that you want to focus on? Is it employment readiness? Is it food security? I'm just throwing stuff out. Is it X? Is it Y? Is it Z? Is it D? Is it A? Is it B? What exactly is it? And then where do you want to, where in the state of New Jersey do you want to do this? It can't be all of Essex County because it's only $10,000. It can't be all of Hudson County because it's only $10,000. So where in Essex County, what little town in Essex County, or what little town in Hudson County do you want, or in Morris County, do you want to actually implement this? Right. And so that's really it. The other thing I explained to Iris is that I teach at the business school, at Rutgers Business School. I teach social entrepreneurship. And one of the things that we really focus on is I match a team of Rutgers business students that are graduate students or seniors with a nonprofit, and the nonprofit, let's say your nonprofit, and the business school student, which is a team of students, have a conversation about looking at one of the things that you do, and can any of the things that you do be created with a revenue generating model as part of the fabric of the business model for you. And I don't know what that might be, right? Because and the market that you're targeting to pay fair market price for the product and service can't be the market that is socially and economically disenfranchised. Like, you can't be charging poor people for the product or service that you're providing, right? So you see, so what this does is it makes you look at how can we rebrand this particular thing to a market that would pay fair market rate for the product or service, outside and away from this population that's socially and economically disenfranchised. And the revenues that you generate from that allow you to provide additional services to that targeted population that can't pay for anything because they don't have the financial wherewithal to do that. So it's a great exercise to think about, how can we become independent? That's just how can we become independent? And your commitment to that project would be to meet with the students about 3 to 4 times over the semester virtually in the evening for about 40 minutes. And they're not working in a vacuum, right? So they're working as consultant teams, as a team of consultants. I am the senior consultant. I'm working with them. And what I do is I am the liaison between your world that they have no idea because they've been working in theory for the last 4 years, right? So because there's language that you use that they're not going to know what the heck you're talking about. And then I am the liaison from their world to your world, because they're going to come at you with theoretical nonsense that they've never applied practically. And so they're gonna think that they know what they're talking about. And so I have to then break that down and say what they really mean is, A, B, C, D, and E. So it's an opportunity for you to think through, what your pilot project may want to be. And then it's their responsibility to see if they can build in or bake in a revenue generating component within that pilot project. The beauty about that is that you'll be able to apply for another grant. Like they're doing the bulk of the work for the second grant, right? The seed grant. So that's kind of like what I was trying to explain to Iris. And I said, it might be a good idea to get some of the team here so that I can just explain it and then answer any questions. And I did email Iris the Project Atlas application, along with a logic model, along with a link to the logic model, a webinar that says, hey, this is a real basic tutorial on how to complete a logic model. And if you could just follow this, it'll kind of sort of make sense. So I sent that to Iris so she can share it with the team so that you can look at the Project Atlas application and start figuring out, okay, we have to do this readiness assessment. It's kind of self-explanatory. It's not really rocket science. You know, this grant focuses on capacity building. And while you're, and let me give you a tip about completing an application. You know how when you do your resume for a particular job, you tailor the language of your resume to that job. I mean, right? I mean, you use some of the words in the job description and you plug it into your resume. It's not lying. It's just, I'm trying to align what you want based on what I already offer, right? And so it's the same thing with an application. With an application, you have the grant guidelines, and it has, if you read it, there's certain language, there's certain phrasings, there's certain combination of words in that application that should be in your written application, so that you can let the reader know that you know what in the world you're writing about or talking about in your application, right? And so that's really it. That's really, I mean, I know it's a lot of information, but the gist of it is there's a Project Atlas application that I sent you that you can implement a pilot project of your desire, so long as the pilot project resonates with the targeted population. It just has to resonate with them, because if it doesn't, then you're never like Iris talked about a furniture thing, that you provide furniture to single moms. All right. Is that something is that like a hit or miss every now and then, or is it a demand? Like there's a waiting list of women that need furniture for when they move into their apartment? Or do you want to do a dress for success, employment readiness type of approach? I don't know. Is that something that is needed based on the location that you're going to implement the project, right? And I think there was a couple of other things. I think food distribution was one.
Yeah, we said, I also said that we wanted to provide workshops for, our focus is single moms. That's our focus, single moms. But to provide workshops, like computer workshops, to prepare them for employment. But at the same time, we're also providing, if they're single moms, so they have children. So we're also providing, whether it's clothing or school supplies, whatever it is that, or et cetera, you know, food, whatever it is that they need.
So what I tell a lot of nonprofits, because they especially organizations that are just starting out, and you know, they're just trying to figure out where they belong in this world of need and providing services to a population that's really crying out for help. I say to them, you know, if you want to do, let's say, computer training, let's just say, right? And it's a single mom, right? And you know that they're going to have other needs. What you can do initially is identify existing nonprofits that you can partner with that are already funded to provide a service that you don't necessarily provide, but that your clients need. So you would say, hey, Salvation Army, we want to partner with you, and we're going to be dealing with these women, and they're going to need clothes for their kids. Can we send them to you with a referral, so that when you get the referral, you can help them out with their clothes? So that's something that you don't have to do, right? That's just until you get to a place where you can provide that service, right? So I really stress to nonprofits, you have to look around your where you're implementing the program and see what other nonprofits are providing services that you can form relationships with and say, hey, this is who we are, this is what we do, and we know that you provide A over here and B over here and C over here and D over here. We're going to start referring clients to you as they need service A, service B, service C, and service D, until you get to a place where you can provide service A, service B, service C, service D, right? So, because you got to maximize the best use of this grant, right? This $10,000, $10,000 to $15,000. And so I think collectively, you're going to have to figure out, okay, what is the one thing that we do or that we want to do? If it to provide computer training, then you got to buy $15,000 isn't going to be enough for you to have enough laptops to provide computer training. It's just not enough. And $15,000 isn't enough to give you, really good bandwidth of Wi-Fi connections, right? To make sure that they can get on the internet and do whatever it is that they have to do.
I may have a connection. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I may have a good connection with that.
Okay. You need a location, a secure location. So there's a lot that you have to think about, right? And if these women need employment training, then I'm just saying, why can't they go to the unemployment office and get the training that the state already provides, and they'll pay them to get the computer training, unless these are women that are, immigrants and they don't have the support of the state. And then, then I would say, who does provide computer training for this particular population? And can we refer these women there until we can do, and then we can fill the gap somewhere else? So it's a lot of thinking about that sort of stuff, as opposed to, oh, we want to do A through Z, but we only have 10 to 15,000. How impactful can you really be? And I think that if you're providing services to these women, that many of them have been promised stuff and it's never really been carried out to its fruition, do you want to then position yourself in that same category of, here are these people that are coming in promising A and B and can't even deliver on A, right? And so you want to be able to deliver on something consistently, because these women rarely get consistent support, right? And so you want to be able to give them consistent support. And what is that consistent support, right? You ever heard of Maslow's theory of hierarchical needs, right? Okay. So when you meet these women, right, at the basic level, they're not going to think about computer training until they have food, until they have water, until they have a place to stay. If they don't have any of that and none of that is secure, they're not thinking about, they're just in survival mode. So you've got to really figure out, are the women that you're providing services at that level? And then if they're at that level, how can you address their needs at that level so you can get them to a place where they can start thinking about, you know, a secure place to live, safety needs, then relationship needs, and then love needs, and then they manifest into, you know, this human being that they were meant to be when they were placed on this earth. So there's a lot to think about here. And the beauty about this is you have time. You have a lot of time, meaning our application doesn't get released until February. You have time to think about it. You have time to formulate a draft. You have time to talk to the targeted population. You have time in front of you to try to figure out what is it that you want to do, and then you submit the application. And the application is not due until April 20th. You have time. You have time, but don't wait until the week of April 20th to put this together. And then if you have enough time, then you can run it by me. And if I have this team, if you want to participate with these team of Rutgers students, they're going to help you think this through in a way that makes sense for them and it'll make sense for you.
Mhm.
Any questions?
Well, I'm glad you said April because I was looking at the information and it says we have to be in operations, I think, for a year.
Yeah,
Is that
just in existence, I should say, on paper, for at least a year. But don't worry about that. That nobody, the peer reviewers don't even look at that. So I'm gonna take that out
okay?
for this next cycle.
Okay.
Well, April will be a year.
Right,
So
right.
we'll be good anyway.
Right.
Okay, that was one of my concerns. Okay, so that answers that. I think that's it. Now I saw where, look, something else. We have to participate in the, what is it? Let me go
Is it
back.
Sage? Is it the Sage?
Yeah,
Well, the Sage is our online application platform, right? And so,
So we have to do that first?
yeah, I think what you want to do is, I think I sent you a link on how to register,
You
right?
did.
Whomever the team, so if it's Iris and Marie and then Esmeralda, the three of you should have access to the app. It shouldn't just be one person because Iris, you're going to want to delegate. You're going to want to say, hey, Marie, can you do this part of the application? Esmeralda, can you go in Sage and do, we'll talk it through. Can you upload this part of the application? I'm going to need help finding those 5 documents that Eddie's asking us to upload. Hey, Rita, can you look at this webinar and get me, the 3 documents from the Department of Treasury, stuff like that. And so what you want to do is figure out, who should have access to the application. That's an internal decision amongst you guys, right? And then if you say, okay, yeah, Iris is one, Esmeralda, yeah, Esmeralda might be like, I don't want to access it, but I'll help you out. And then Marie will say, yeah, I'll have access. And so, so that if Iris is not around for whatever the reason, at least someone else has access to the application. And it's a 5-minute webinar. You register. I think I added, you got to include your FEIN number, Iris. You would have to share that with whoever would need access. And then once you register, just email me and we'll give you access to Sage.
So we need to, so in order to fill out the application in Sage, that's when we need to get together.
Yeah. You want to get together, it's the holidays. I don't know how much time you're going to get together.
No, maybe we'll probably try to do it maybe after. We'll see.
Yeah. After the holidays works, and you register for Sage, right? And then you email me and say, hey, Eddie, we'll register for Sage, and I'll say, okay, I'll see where you're at, and I'll give you access. We'll give you access to Sage. You'll be able to enter it with your username and password, and then there'll be a webinar that says, hey, this is how you get to the application. And so it's,
Oh, okay.
you do this, you go here, you do that, you do this, but you need to be registered in Sage in order to gain access to the application. But yeah, I think what you want to do now, though, is look at the application. Each section of the online application is, you have a statement of need, you have product design, you have collaborators, you have, whatever they're asking you. You should start drafting that stuff out now, just basically, and all you have to do really is answer the bullets. Don't go above and beyond the bullets that are there, right? Give us some, and it can't be it should be, you only get 4,000 characters. So 4,000 characters is probably like a half a page or a page. It's not a lot. And for every space that you click on the space bar is a character. For every DON apostrophe T, the apostrophe is a character. If you want to create another paragraph and you double space, that's 4 characters taken up right there. So you just want to make one big paragraph, and then then start drafting it out. And if you have any questions, you can call me, or you can say, hey, we want to email you this. about this section. Can you look at it? Yeah, because you got my time 100%. But when we get closer to April 20th, I'm gonna be like, I can't do this because I got 100 other people asking me for help. So, now is the time to start trying to figure out what is it that you want to do, especially in the pilot project space. Like, what is it that you want to do?
I have a question
Right.
in regards to the time frame with once we're ready for the students for the consulting. How many of us need to participate? How many? I believe it's 20 hours.
You mean for the
That's-
Project Atlas?
That's the.
Yes. Yes. Oh,
Right. So for Project Atlas, you have to create a leadership team. It could be anywhere between 3 and 5 folks. The leadership team. Now, are you talking about with the Rutgers students or with Project Atlas?
I'm talking the Rutgers student. The project is different.
Okay, you're talking about the Rutgers students.
Right.
I thought they were somehow combined.
No, they're two different.
Right.
Oh, okay.
They're two
Okay.
different. So the Rutgers students are going to help you think through what your pilot project should be, or based on what you want. And what they're going to do is think about how can they bake into the design a revenue generating approach, right?
And that's an optional.
That's
piece.
optional. That's
Right.
optional. That's
If you
optional.
just have it help to actually create more like the theory. We do the practical kind of thing, and they do the theory. They're gonna come. They're gonna come with the book aspect of it.
Right.
They're gonna flash out
I don't.
what it looks like.
Okay.
But
That would interest. Yeah, that would interest me only because you also mentioned that we would be able to, with their assistance, we would be able to apply for other grants as well.
Yes, you'll be able to take what they do and apply it to a different grant.
Okay.
So that other different grant is called Social Enterprise Entrepreneurship Development.
And that was my next question. Are there other options as far as grants are concerned? So just answer.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal, right? So funders, funders say, okay, these are the categories that we fund, and then you've got to make sure that your program fits that criteria, right? So you want to do computer training, which is employment readiness stuff, right? You want to do that. You want to do I don't know what you call it, but furniture giving, for lack of a better phrase, right? If they get an apartment, you want to give them furniture, or you want to hook them up like that. If there are clothing for their kids, you want to help them out with clothes and stuff like that. There's no funding for any of that stuff per se, right? But there is funding for a program that includes aspects of those functions that you do, right? So, for example, we don't fund employment readiness. We just don't, because Department of Labor funds that, right? So we're not trying to fund stuff that other state agencies fund. And because of the stuff that you do, the two applications that sort of make sense is the Project Atlas one, because the $10,000 isn't guided by any fund. The pilot project isn't guided by any particular funding category. It's not like you can do any pilot project you want.
Right. So basically what that is saying is that pick a project, and it's just a pilot thing. So the money it was because the key word is pilot. Right.
And then you can apply for, with the students, you can apply for the seed project, which is the Social Enterprise Entrepreneurship Development, which you can get another grant for between $15,000 and $20,000 to implement another pilot project that has a revenue generating model that allows you to generate revenue to help you provide additional services to your targeted population. But that's a lot going on, right? That's a lot going on. So I think what you might want to do is I can even be as flexible as having the students work with you to flush out the Project Atlas application.
That's awesome. That would be awesome.
And to help flush out what this pilot project is. All right. And then for their grade, I'll just have them include a revenue generating component that you can or cannot use. It's up to you if you want to include it moving forward. Right. So it helps out.
So we can do both simultaneously, and then we can decide if we want to go for both as well.
Yeah. Or if it were me, yeah, Eddie, have them help us with the Project Atlas application, and then they can also use the pilot project and try to see if they can bake in a revenue generating model. So you'll have two different approaches in one application.
Second plan.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that works out really well.
Yeah, I agree.
And all of this is free. All of this, my time, their time. Yeah, all of this is free. Ain't nobody charging anything.
Wow, that's amazing.
This all free. This all free.
So I noticed that the Atlas program that we have to upload, is it online or is it in person? Because we have to attend we have to make ourselves available.
Yeah, there is going to be, once you get awarded, see, the grant period is from July 1 of 2023 to June 30th of 2024. So when you get awarded in July, we're going to have a mandatory orientation meeting with all the Project Atlas grantees and their leadership team.
Okay.
And it's done at the business school. It's really cool, right? You get to meet everybody. It's like from 10 to 1. It's really short. We give you lunch. There's an exercise that you get to talk about. We get to talk through. And then it's the role of the navigator. You get to meet your coach. You get to have a conversation with them. We set expectations, manage expectations, your expectations, the coach's expectations, my expectations, and then we take it from there. And then every meeting after that is online. Every meeting is virtual.
Okay.
So there's only one in person.
Okay.
The time frame of those meetings, are they during the day as well or in the evening?
During the evening, so that most of the Project Atlas leadership team members have regular 9 to 5s.
That's awesome.
So it's in like 6, 7 o'clock at night, stuff like that. And then you and your coach decide what time do you want to meet.
Oh, okay.
When you say you and your coach, though, it would be the leadership, the leaders with this particular coach.
Yes, yeah, the leadership team, and then with your assigned coach.
Okay. All right.
Let me see what other questions I had.
Got the options.
Marie might know this, but so we do have the 5. I know that for a fact that we do have those 5 documents. My question is, I was reading the SAGE. It says if our revenue is under 10,000, then we don't need the charitable.
Right, you don't need it. But you need to upload your 990 EZ. The 990 is what nonprofits have to file every year.
Correct.
In January we file it, yeah.
Right. So when you file that, then you upload that.
Okay, upload 990. Okay. Yeah. And then the certificate of standing.
Yes.
What is? Not sure what that is.
Well, when you watch the webinar, it'll walk you through the Department of Treasury to get your certificate of standing. The certificate of standing is a document that says that you're a viable entity in the state of New Jersey and that you can do business with the state of New Jersey. We should have one.
Oh, we should have one. Yes.
You should have one. You should have one. And if you don't have one, there's a way to get one.
Okay. Yes.
That's not a big deal.
Yeah, I know exactly what it is now.
Yeah.
Okay, so I believe so. Let's see how many participate. Okay.
I think I got it. I don't think do you think we need a business plan going into this? Eddie?
No. No. The students will
What's the question?
will be writing a draft business plan. Right, so they're going to be doing two things for you. They're going to be doing the application, and then they're also going to be looking at they're going to be using a template or the semblance of a business plan. Most nonprofits don't create business plans, and so most nonprofits apply through a regular universal social service grant application, which is different from what the Project Atlas is, right? So, because Project Atlas is asking you look at your organization's internal mechanisms to see what you need strengthened, what's weak, and then how can you and the coach work on strengthening those areas that are weak. It could be fiscal, it could be leadership, it could be board, it could be volunteer recruitment, it can be a myriad of a number of capacity issues. And then you and the coach will identify, I don't know, let's say your application identifies 6 things, let's say. You and the coach will come together and out of the 6 things, identify the top 3 that you want to work on. And from the entire year, you and the leadership team and the coach will be working on those 3 items. It could be a strategic plan. It could be board policies and procedures. It could be whatever it is that you think you need. It could be a fund development plan, which is what everybody wants. You know, how do we get money? That's what everybody wants.
So basically also, I just want to go through the steps again. First thing we have to do is register in Sage.
Yes.
And once we register in Sage, we'll have a portal where we can access the application.
Right. When it's released, when the application is released.
When you
release it, right?
Huh?
When you release it.
When we release the application, right.
Okay. Now, the application itself. Now, Atlas is different than this, or is this actually Atlas?
Atlas. What we're talking about is Project Atlas.
So we're talking about Project Atlas. Okay. And that's when we also have to fill out the Project Atlas, the readiness assessment.
Yes, yes.
Is that like the last thing, or is that one of the first?
This is one of the first things you should do is
Okay.
As a collective unit, as a collective team, just answer those. There's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong to it.
Right.
It's really true. Go ahead, Marie. What?
I already answered the questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll send it over.
Okay. And then what is the DCA portal filing instructions?
That's if you need a charity registration number, but you're under.
Oh, but we're good. Okay.
So you don't have to worry about that.
Okay. Okay. So once we're good, let's say we filled out the application. It goes to you. The application goes to you. When would you? It goes to you for approval?
Well, right. So once all the applications are submitted, it's reviewed by a panel of 3 independent peer reviewers. Each Project Atlas application, let's say Iris, Marie, and Esmeralda is a panel, right? And you're charged with reading the Project Atlas applications. So let's say there's 10 applications. You all will read the same 10 applications, and you all will score each application independent of each other. Then there's a deliberation date, right, where the panel members come together and say, okay, let's look at this application. Okay, Iris, why did you score a 10 here when Marie scored it a 5 and Esmeralda gave it a 0? Like, what exactly happened here? And so there's a there's a conversation that you have, that the panel has, and then there's an average score. That average, each score is averaged out, and then in numerical order from highest to lowest, we fund organizations. Now for Project Atlas, what we found is that to get funded for any other application, you need to score a 70 or higher. But we found out that Project Atlas grantees need a lot of help. So we curved it down to a 60 because they had a hard time getting to 70.
What's that?
Because these are emerging organizations that never apply for anything. They don't know what the application process is. They've never written a grant before. So they're not sure of what they're putting down, right? And so we know that. That's why we say in-house, that's why they need Project Atlas. So we know that. And so we just said, okay, if you score 60 or higher, we'll fund it. And then that's how we're able to get a lot of the organizations that just we wouldn't be able to fund.
So our best interest to have this student helping us. So
you'll be fine. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I agree 100%. So let's just say we get approved. Okay, you're approved. Everything is great. So after that, that's when we can say, Eddie, can you provide, can you speak to the students so we can start meeting with them?
Yeah. I'll right. So you're going to start meeting the students. No, it's not when you get approved. It's before you get approved. They're going to help you get it together.
Okay.
Right. And so you're going to get an email from me from my Rutgers email, probably at the end of this year, like the last, like after Christmas or maybe before Christmas.
Okay.
Hey, are you interested? This is great. This is your commitment, blah, blah, blah. Because I'm still updating the syllabus. I still got to figure out what the weeks are. I got to do a lot of that because I'm teaching 2 classes. So I've got to figure out, the syllabus is for both. But I think in January, I'll have a better idea of what my semester is going to look like.
Okay.
And then I'll say, hey, I need everybody to lock in the second Thursday in February or the first Thursday in February. You'll get this email like the second week in January. So I'll always give you more than enough time. And I need you to lock this in. It's going to be virtual. So by that time, I'll have grouped all the teams. I probably will ask you for a 1-page overview of the organization. What's your mission? What's your vision? What a real brief of what services you provide, and what do you think your pilot project might be? Just because what you think it's going to be in January and what it turns out to be by April. The beauty about that is it's 2 different things. It's because there's changes. There's as you get more information, as the students ask you questions, as you look into this stuff, it changes. Now you can be, I'd say this lovingly, you can be a hard-headed and say, I don't want to change. And then it takes away from your creative ability, right? Because in this process, you have to be open-minded. You have to be willing to change. Because I'm gonna ask the students, well, did you ask this question? Did you ask this question? And did they do this? Meaning you guys, did they do this? To try to get you to shift and be open to possibilities. That's all. Okay. And of course, there'll be a presentation that the students will make. You're more than invited to attend and ask questions, I want you to be a part of this as well,
Absolutely. So they'll prepare us. It's a process, through the process of literally applying, and we'll know exactly when we're supposed to. You said definitely before April.
Oh yeah, no, their final paper will be done like the end of March. Because remember, it's a draft, and then you take that draft. And then you're going to have to clean it up for the application, right? You're going to have to edit it a little bit. I'm going to do the best I can. Right. There may be some sections that you don't like. There may be some sections that you want to you want to expand upon, but you'll have more than enough time to get that done.
Okay, that's awesome.
And as they're developing the project, they'll be sharing with you what they're drafting. So it's not like you're going to get you're only going to see the paper once. You're going to see different iterations with my feedback, right? My feedback's always in red. They say, Professor, you always bleed on our papers. I say, that's the best way for you to see what I want you to change, right? And so I'll type it up in red and I'll say, hey, this doesn't make sense. Maybe this is repetitive over here. I'm not understanding why you're saying this if over here you said that. So remember, they've never done this before either. So I'm teaching them, I'm teaching you. Okay. So everybody's being taught all at the same time.
Okay. So you have you're in the brick and mortar classroom, then you have your external classroom, which is
right.
nice.
Right. Right. Exactly.
I got you. Okay. I love it. I'm loving it. Awesome.
Me too. Esmeralda, do you have any questions? I don't want to leave.
I can't hear.
Oh, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Yeah, and you're not muted. Oh no. Yeah, we can't hear you and you're not muted, which is really weird.
Want to put it in the chat?
Let's see.
I think you can do a voice in the chat, I think. Let's see.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Speak now, Esmeralda.
No.
Because she was for some reason. Oh, speak now, Esmeralda. No? No. Oh, that's so odd.
That's very weird. Because the mic is there.
Yeah, the mic is there.
Huh.
You're on your computer or phone? Oh, on the. Could you so you can't type anything in chat, right?
Yeah.
Esmeralda, not unless you can call me. Call me on my phone and I'll put you on speaker.
I have a hard stop at 8 o'clock.
Oh, okay. So we have 9 minutes.
No, you guys can continue. I just have to get off.
And I'm recording this, so as soon as this is over, I'll turn it into a YouTube video and I'll send it to everybody. And then
thank you so much. Wow, that is awesome.
You just told me something new. You're saying that you can record on Zoom and turn it into a YouTube video?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You just told me something tonight. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Hi, Esmeralda.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Go right ahead.
So I just have a couple of questions. So the participation that we're going to have with the students, I mean, I know they're going to help us. Is that this is grant aside from the $10,000? Like, is that like an additional grant that you will be getting?
No.
Oh, no, that's all the same thing. That's all the same.
It's all the same, but they will be able to help us to apply for other grants, such as like the SEED project, which is another $15,000 to $20,000.
And give us.
Okay. So one more question I had. So I know that will be a nonprofit organization to help others. Is there anything out there like donators? How can we get a hand of donators that can help us, like to get a warehouse? Or they don't have this kind of help for like for organization, like a nonprofit organization as us? Like in other words, is there someone that says, okay, I donate a warehouse for this company that's just beginning to help them start? Is there anything out there besides money that we can get as some help?
Well, I think that before you gotta crawl before you can stand up, and then you gotta take a baby step before you think about getting a warehouse, right? So we've got to take baby steps here, and you've got to prove that what you're doing is impacting the lives of these women. So it's gonna, maybe the dream is to get a warehouse, but that's maybe 10 steps from now. I think we have to start at the basic level and just say, hey, let's get this draft idea on paper and let's see if this thing works with this grant.
And the impact as far as the warehouse, the manpower that's going to require, the permits that's going to require, a lot of pieces.
You're not ready. You're not ready for that right now.
It's part of the process, but we're going to need a lot of legal pieces to put into that as far as and revenue to support that.
Right.
We were, it's funny that you mentioned that, Esmeralda. So we know a pastor in Patterson, and I was actually going to ask him. I mean, not right now, but we've been getting donations. We've been getting a lot of donations, but we're able to, as soon as we get them, able to disperse them and give them to the people who needs them. But he has a very big property and with different rooms where we wanted to see whether he wanted to rent one of the because it's just different. The rooms are huge. Like
Right,
it's
right.
it's kind of like the size of a warehouse.
I think you got to figure out. I think you want to figure, because there's an overhead to that, right? You have to pay rent, you have to pay utilities, you have to pay.
Exactly.
And then you got to, unless he's gonna donate all of that and give it to you for free.
Correct.
That's a different story. But
Correct.
if you have to pay like rent, then you have to figure out, okay, we get this grant for this year, it's 15,000, let's say. Out of that, we have to carve out 6,000-7,000 to pay rent. And we don't even know if what we're doing is something that the women want done, right? And so maybe you can find donated space at a church or a religious institution, or a community center. I think you got to think about, unless he's giving you the space for free, that's a different question. But, and then, wherever this space is at, can the women get there? I don't know. I don't, is there transportation for them to get there? Because if you have a space and they can't get to it, then what's the sense of having a space? So you got to think about all of that. Just because it's free doesn't always mean it's good.
Okay.
All right. So I would think about that as a team collectively and say, hey, does this make sense for us now at our developmental stage?
I think that's down the road after we flesh out where we're going. And I think after we get to the point where we go through this project and see where we are, what our focus is, I think clearly define, do we want to focus on stuff or programs?
Right. And then like, where are you operating out of now? Do you really need to change that? Most businesses that start out don't have office space. They're in their house in the corner of their living room, and they're bootstrapping it and they're trying to figure it all out, and they don't have office furniture. They're working out the trunk of their car. They're just trying to figure it out. And in the figuring it out process, you get, okay, we got a grant for 10,000, we got another grant for 20. You're beginning to develop diversity funding opportunities. Now we need a place. But I don't know if you're there yet. And only you can decide that. I don't know if you're there yet,
Okay.
Even if he's giving it to you for free, can they get there? That's the question. And I don't know. I don't even know what his place is at. Because you could work out of a basement of like some.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you can definitely work out of a basement. I mean, you just got to figure out, are you ready to work with clients directly? Can you just got to, all of that gets thought out in the next few months.
True.
Does that answer Esmeralda's question?
I don't know. Does it?
Esmeralda, did you hear?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, we
Yes.
can hear you.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
I hung up because I couldn't hear completely. It sounded like an echo every time everyone was
Oh,
speaking. It was like an echoing going on. And then I realized I could just hang up, and now I can hear you guys clearly
Oh,
now.
good, good. Did you hear what we said though about the warehouse? What
Yeah,
Mr.
I heard a bit what he was saying. Yeah. And I heard what you said, Iris, about the pastor. Yes.
So think about it, and I mean, Marie has a hard 8 o'clock, and
Oh, yeah.
I got a hard 8 o'clock because I'm mentally drained right now. So bye, Marie.
Bye, Marie.
It's
You have
nice
to, you have to leave, Marie, right?
to have a client.
Okay. God bless.
Bye bye.
God bless you. Bye.
So
Thank-
I'll download this recording and send it to everybody so you can listen to it again. And
Thank
then-
you. Thank you so much. Again, it's such a pleasure. I'm really excited. I'm really excited because we've been together for 8 years. This group of women.